It has been quite a long time since you guys have seen me, since I have seen the general like landscape of YouTube from YouTubers' perspective, I guess is the best way to put it. And I feel like I owe you guys an explanation as to where I've been for the last like 3 months or whatever. To kind of like make it simple, for people who don't have time to watch this video, I don't know how long it's going to be because I've got stuff to basically explain about what happened in the 3 months, 3 months ago and where we're at right now. So I actually do have stuff to explain. I don't know how long this is going to be, but if you do have time to watch it, I appreciate you. These last 3 months where I have basically been like off platform have not been the easiest, is the best way I can put it. A lot of stuff has changed in my life very rapidly and to a point where I wasn't able to process it, on top of the fact that I kind of hit, the best way to put it is like a creative slump, because I kind of didn't know what to upload, is like the best way to put it. Because what I was uploading, I wasn't happy with, and then what I knew I was going to be happy with, I felt like wasn't going to do well on YouTube. So there was a factor with that on top of all like the real life stuff that actually affected me. But instead of kind of just, saying that and moving on, I do feel, I need to give you guys at least a little bit of an explanation as to all the stuff that actually did happen in those. So it's going to be a very like small condensed list. I hope I don't miss any like important things I need to talk about, but they're not going to be in any specific order, because even I can't remember the timeline of everything that happened. But I guess we'll start off with the first one that comes to mind, which is I actually got fired from my job for a collective total of 1 hour. Yep, I'm not even kidding you when I say that. I'm not going to go into like too much detail, especially because I don't really like revealing like where I work exactly. For those who do know me, you'll know like where I work and stuff like that. I do still have that job, although I'm kind of regretting taking the job back, but at the same time not regretting it, because at least I still have a job in this current job market. So it's both like a detriment and also something to be thankful of. But to keep the story like kind of short, because I don't want to give like anything out there, I was working a position that I was not scheduled to work, purely working it because the people that were supposed to be in that position were not doing their job. And we pretty much had the entire like team organization just break down because half of the team's not doing their job properly. The other half is too fast for the other team to catch up. So I leave my team that was fine on their own, help this, other section for around 3 hours, in a position I'm not supposed to be working, to which I got frustrated. I slammed basically a headset on a table, ran out the back door, like to the smoke area, very, very obviously angry. A coworker comes out, talks to me for about 10 minutes, trying to cool me down, and my manager that was on the floor at the time basically said, this is what he told me, but he said, yeah, he just got a call from the general manager, and that I need to turn in my key card and my key to the store, that I was fired. And I didn't question it, because at the time I was just frustrated and angry, and I just didn't care at that point. I was very obviously like very pissed that day. The coworker that actually was talking to me, if they for some reason happen to see this video, because they know about my YouTube channel, but if they happen to see this, they'll know how angry I was that night. But not even an hour after everything had unfolded, I got a call from my general manager basically saying, you're not fired, which confused me, because as far as I knew at the time, she fired me only to rehire me. And a lot of people were speculating like, oh, she rehired you to more or less like cover her own ass, because she realized, oh wait, I just fired one of the best people like that I have on my floor. And not to like, flaunt my own ego or say like, oh, I'm better than everybody else that's in here, but I do put in a lot more work and effort than everybody else does. Sometimes I'm sluggish with it, but there's a reason I'm paid more than like everybody else on the floor who is just a regular like employee, no management position or anything like that. But she tells me and basically says that what had happened At least this is what she told me, and I'm inclined to believe her above, my normal manager. But he was the one who fired me, not her. But I never got a clear answer as to who actually did fire me, because he said she fired me, and she says that he fired me, and that it was an over-enforcement on his end because he doesn't have the power to do that, because at the time, he was a manager for one night a week. Just one night. That night that I was working. And the rest of the week, he's just a normal, crewmate on day shift, So he shouldn't have that permission, basically. But I never got an answer, and honestly, I don't care to have an answer. That was about 2 months ago when that happened, and I'm past it. I guess if anything, I can say I regret not leaving when I had the chance, but if I did leave, I obviously wouldn't even have a source of income right now. So it's like a 50-50. It's like I still have a job, even though I'm not happy with the job that I have. So with that story, let's move on to the next story, which is some friends of mine, not in my personal life, but they might as well be the most personal of my personal life. They had a relationship going on for about 3 years, and they finally broke it off. It was more from the female's side, because she wanted to break things off with my other friend. And she had her own reasons. I'm not going to state those reasons on here because I feel like that's a little too personal. But to kind of paint you a picture, they had known each other for going on 7-8 years. They'd been dating for about 3. And, without trying to be cliche, they were almost at least in my, imagination, they were kind of like the perfect, couple. I'm not saying they never had fights or they never had, normal stuff that, relationships come with, emotional baggage and all this other stuff. But to kind of put it a little bit more bluntly, they were the most open with each other than they have ever been in any other relationship that those two have ever been a part with. And it was extremely shocking for me to basically get the message from her that they're no longer together. Because in my mind, I was like, these two never have any problems. And if they do have problems, it's usually sorted out within a couple days. And, of course, they never told me everything that went on. Because, again, a lot of that shit you got to keep personal for obvious personal reasons. But they never came off they hated each other. They never came off anything was wrong until they just, didn't want, or she didn't want to be with him anymore. I'm not going to say they both mutually agree they don't want to be together, because that's not what happened at all. But she didn't want to be with him for her own personal reasons, and it was shocking at first. Then it went from being shocking on my end to the guy friend of that relationship basically had hit a wall. He had just hit a wall, and he didn't know where he was going to go in his life at that point. Because what he had planned out on doing was he was actually going to go meet her for the first time in real life. He was going to actually spend his own money and go out there and see her for the first time within a couple months, and he had planned to do it very, very soon from what I remember. And all of that was just shut down in an instant. So he had to deal with the emotional decline from a breakup, and it was very, very difficult from what he was telling me. Now, he wasn't very, very open with it emotionally wise, but when he would talk to me about it, he was very much open in saying it has not been easy, and I don't blame him. I mean, a 3-year-long relationship under any circumstances like that is not easy to kind of just get yourself back up and walk off from. There's a lot of stuff that is, kept there. There's history made there, and it's history that is just not easy to forget about, especially when the person that you're with, especially with a relationship like that, you've opened up a lot. So, of course, it wasn't easy for him at the start. And then about a few days to a week into it, he decided to make the decision to more or less just stop everything that he was doing. like, again, to paint you another picture with this story, me and this friend would come home pretty much like every single night and like play whatever game we would usually play. Like I'd get off at like, 10, 11 o'clock my time. And, we would usually be playing until like the morning time, which I guess isn't responsible for two adults like us because we're both adults at this point. I guess it's not too responsible for us, but he didn't really have like anything else going on right there anyway, apart from like putting in a million different applications at other places to get a job just because nowhere is hiring where he lives. And I mean, I'm feeling that too because nowhere around here wants to hire me at all. So I can kind of like get a different job. But this isn't about me. This is about his story. And he decided to finally just go AWOL from everybody. And he was going to move on with everything. And it put me in a very clouded kind of point in my life because he was the only person that I necessarily talked to. If you don't count like coworkers or even my extended family that are still in my hometown with me, he was the only other person that I talked to on a regular basis, especially because of the hours that I work. I'm up like all night basically. Like I'm up from 11 p.m. till 6 a.m. And the only other time that I do get to see people are the coworkers that I'm working with. And then my, family, whenever I get up, get a shower and say, all right, I'm leaving, I'm going to work. So you can imagine, if that was necessarily your only friend and they don't want anything to do with you, like not for personal reasons for me, but they don't want anything to do with you anymore because they want to move on with their life. You can kind of understand like where that put me like emotionally. It made me feel very lost. And that was a very like quiet and kind of like darker period for me because at that point I didn't have anybody. Again, like I love my family and I do appreciate my coworkers, but then without like trying to disrespect them, they weren't friends, if you know what I mean. Because there's some stuff that you can tell friends that you wouldn't tell extended family or coworkers. Not even, just because they would look at you differently, but it's just you have a certain connection to people that you meet who you consider friends that you don't get from family, well, even especially coworkers, which I know people will probably disagree with me on there because a lot of people probably will say like, oh, well, I tell my family like a bunch compared to what I tell my friends, which is understandable. But I really don't. And the biggest reason is just they don't understand it sometimes. Like a lot of the stuff I'll talk with them about, they don't get it. And they also don't get my sarcastic, like smartass humor at all, which I understand why, but it makes it harder because smartass humor is one of the easiest ways for me to communicate with people. And when people don't understand that, it's a little bit harder for me to kind of like talk normal. But yeah, he was gone for about like 2 weeks, and only recently did I even like start talking with him again because he came back online and he kind of like he put a lot more of his attention from playing video games like pretty much every single day and like, for lack of a better wording, like not really doing anything, to kind of putting that energy more towards people in his personal life. He met some new people over Xbox and things like that. And, he's doing good for himself. And I'm glad. And then there was one final thing that I did, which is actually going to be a really short story because it doesn't have as much impact as the getting fired and losing that friend for a little while and just kind of being in a dark period. But I deleted my Discord. I had a Discord linked in a couple videos, like pretty much at like the start of like this year until like now. I'm gonna have to make sure I like go back and like get rid of that from the description. But I deleted my Discord, and the biggest reason for me deleting it was just because the person who I had kind of like moderating it was, he's a good person. I'm not going to say that he's a bad person, but he was kind of doing stuff with the Discord that I didn't necessarily want to have had happen. But I also just didn't care enough to actually go in there and just tell him like, hey, what you're doing, I don't want you doing in the server. This is like supposed to be a server for like, this channel and everybody else that comes through, and you're doing this and this and this and this, and I don't want you doing this. So I just gave it up because I went pretty much, dead in that server around the same time that I stopped uploading here. And then I just deleted it because I didn't want anything. I don't know if I'm going to reopen another one. I guess we'll see what happens in like the future if I do reopen one. But I guess we'll see. And that kind of now leads us up to today, because I was scrolling through my YouTube studio and I was getting comments on my most recent like video that's still up, which is now privated because I don't want anything to do more, but I was getting comments and they made me kind of feel bad that I just left everyone without an explanation. Because they kind of like struck a chord with me in saying like, we really miss you, man. We miss like when you actually still like uploaded onto the channel. And it made me feel both like really happy that there was actually still people patiently waiting for like another video to come out. But it also made me feel just confused because I didn't know like how to please those people while also making sure that my own like mental health was, because I have just, on top of everything that's happened in the last 3 months, I have had no passion or drive to upload videos. On top of the fact that I don't know what I want to upload. I really don't. I have found a new love in a certain, video game series that I actually think I want to go into uploading because I've been having a lot of fun playing it. But the reason I was so hesitant was because I pretty much built my channel off of like GTA 5. If you don't count the playthroughs from the like video games that I had played through, which I think a couple of them are privated, I could be wrong. If you don't count those, I pretty much built this channel off of GTA 5. And GTA 5, when it's in the title or it's in the tags and whatnot and it's uploaded, it's usually like what does well because YouTube sees me as you're a gaming content creator within the GTA 5 atmosphere. And it's a lot harder for you to change what game you're playing. And it's a lot harder in this era to kind of grow off of being either variety or changing what game that you were playing on the channel before. So that was making me a bit hesitant. Because, not to say that, like, I only did YouTube to, like, hit the top of search algorithms and every title had to be this and every thumbnail had to be engaging, but, I mean, I'm sure you guys can understand that if I'm uploading videos and they're not getting any attention, what's the point in uploading them to begin with? I'm sure a lot of you can understand that even if you yourself don't upload. So there was that. And honestly, now I don't know what I'm going to be doing. I really don't. Part of me is thinking, like I said, of coming back and doing videos on the game series that I'm actually, again, actively playing right now. Which I could make a lot of videos on. It's not like a playthrough game or anything like that. It's a very heavily focused community that I think I could, make a lot of videos going forward, especially because I'm actually excited for Black Ops 6 coming out. I was a bit hesitant, again, 3 months ago when we first got, like, the rumors about it, but I'm actually kind of happy, or I'm at least excited to see Black Ops 6. Especially because unfortunately the gameplay leaks came out today and people were going crazy over that. I'm optimistic for it, but I can't remember what the term is. I'm cautiously optimistic. There we go. So it's like I'm optimistic for it, but I'm not just gonna like have all my hopes like out that way in the event that it doesn't live up to expectations, which unfortunately a lot of these games don't live up to expectations because it's Activision. And they push their developers to do a lot within like a 2-year span or whatnot. But this game has had 4 years, so I'd be surprised if it's not good. But yeah, there's that. So at least I'm excited about one thing. But if I had a closing thing to say at the like ending of this video, is I'm not done, but I don't know where to go from here. That's the best way to put it. I'm not done uploading videos. And I can never say with confidence that I am done, because that will never be the case. I just don't know what I want to do going forward. That's all. But again, I also wanted to make sure that you all like knew, you know, what had happened in the last like 3 months, because I could have easily just came back and said like, "Hi, I'm back," and like nothing happened. But clearly, people could tell something was wrong because, I mean, unfortunately, I had made a promise that this year I was not going to miss a day of uploading, and then all this like came through, and I like completely skipped out on that. But I mean, I stopped it because I wasn't enjoying it. So if I'm not enjoying it, I'm not going to force myself to do it. But I think that's all I wanted to say. If there is anything else that does need to be mentioned, it'll most likely be in a pinned comment down in the comment section. Or if you guys have any other questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them in the comment section. But with that being said, I think that's it. But until next time, which I don't know when next time will be, you know, I hope you all stay safe. Have yourselves a great day. Take care.